The Saiyan Saga ends differently the moment Vegeta stops holding back. Not because Goku was weak, but because Vegeta made a different choice. Most fans remember the first battle as a clash of equals pushing each other to the limit. That is not what it was. Vegeta was the stronger fighter that day, and he knew it. He let Goku survive, not out of mercy, but out of something closer to obsession. A low-class warrior had no business making the Prince of all Saiyans struggle that hard. And that humiliation was the only reason Goku walked away from that battlefield. But what if Vegeta didn't let that humiliation stay his hand? What if the pride went the other way, demanding not rivalry but erasure? The moment changes is not during the Kamehameha Gallic gun clash. It is after, when Goku falls, drained, barely conscious on the ruined Earth ground. Vegeta doesn't fire the planet-busting sphere. He walks over instead, looks down, and finishes it. One blast, controlled, deliberate, the way an elite Saiyan handles something beneath him. Goku dies on the same planet he spent his whole life protecting. No last-minute revival, no Kaioken surge, no spirit bomb reset. The Z-fighters watching from the hillside see it happen and can do nothing. Krillin feels something rupture in the air that he will never be able to explain. Gohan is 4 years old and watches his father die on a broken battlefield. That image will shape every single decision he makes for the rest of his life. Now here is where most fans stop thinking. They assume the story just continues with someone else stepping up. But that assumption collapses the moment you understand what Goku actually was to Dragon Ball's world structure. Goku was not just the strongest fighter, he was the emotional engine of every alliance that followed. Without him, the network that pulled Piccolo, Krillin, Vegeta, and eventually Frieza's enemies together simply does not form. Piccolo does not sacrifice himself for Gohan on Namek if Goku never built that bridge between them. Bulma does not fly to Namek motivated by grief and friendship. She has no reason to. The Dragon Balls on Namek are never found. Vegeta never learns they exist in time to use them. Which means the entire chain reaction that defines the next 3 arcs, it breaks right here. Vegeta stands victorious on Earth, badly damaged, tail gone, Uzaru form gone. He is not in a position to pursue dominance across the galaxy, not yet. He needs to recover, he needs a pod, he needs to recalculate. What he does not need anymore is Goku, the irritating variable that broke his calculations. So Vegeta leaves, not triumphantly, quietly, like a warrior who just closed an open wound. But the Earth does not get destroyed, and that detail matters more than it looks. Vegeta has no reason to waste energy on a powerless rock with no strategic value. He comes for the Dragon Balls. They are already used. The situation is settled. He retreats to space to recover and regroup. That means humanity survives, but without its strongest protector, and without the relationships that protector built. Krillin and Gohan are alive. Piccolo is alive, but the soul of the resistance is gone. Frieza is still active. The Namekian Dragon Balls still exist, and Vegeta, now free of his obsession with Goku, recalibrates his entire strategy. He knows the Dragon Balls grant wishes. He knew that before arriving on Earth. The difference now is that Vegeta is not emotionally compromised. He is calculating, something he genuinely struggles to do when Goku is alive and in front of him. A cold Vegeta is actually more dangerous than an enraged one. He arrives at Namek, not as a desperate, power-hungry Saiyan racing Frieza's army. He arrives as the surviving victor of Earth, battle-worn but clear-headed, with a real plan. The three-way conflict between Vegeta, Frieza, and the Namekians still happens, but the geometry shifts. There is no Goku incoming as a last resort. No wild card, no X-Factor arriving in a space pod. Frieza's men are still stronger. The Ginyu Force is still deployed. But Vegeta without Goku to rival is a different kind of threat than the one Frieza prepared for. He does not charge recklessly. He does not posture for an audience that no longer matters. He picks targets, isolates fighters, and starts building toward the Dragon Balls with surgical patience. Gohan and Krillin still reach Namek. Grief drives them there. Gohan carries something heavier than sadness. He carries the image of his father dying on broken ground. That image has already started changing him in ways that will matter on Namek. He is not fighting to protect his dad anymore. That anchor is gone. He is fighting with something rawer, something less controlled, something closer to rage than discipline. Krillin is sharper too, not stronger, but more desperate, which in survival scenarios is its own kind of power. But desperate and sharp still does not close the gap against Frieza's top soldiers. The Ginyu Force arrives, and the math becomes brutal without Goku's Zenkai-boosted intervention. Gohan and Krillin survive early, but only because Vegeta, calculating as ever, keeps them useful temporarily. Vegeta needs bodies between himself and Frieza's forces while he moves toward the Dragon Balls. That alliance is colder than anything Vegeta formed with Goku's crew in the original timeline. There is no trust, no warmth, just temporary geometry of survival. Guru unlocks Gohan's potential. It still happens because Nail still leads them there. But the power Gohan receives now lands in a child shaped entirely by loss, not by his father's optimism. That distinction will matter later in ways nobody on Namek can predict yet. Vegeta gets his wish moment. Almost. He collects the Dragon Balls. He is close. But Frieza has been watching and waiting. In the original timeline, Frieza was always ahead. That has not changed. What has changed is that there is no Goku warming up in a healing tank underneath the planet's surface. No arrival. No last-minute power ceiling being shattered on a dying world. Frieza transforms, and the cold truth of Namek becomes clear. Vegeta, Gohan, and Krillin face a being who has never needed to take any of them seriously. Vegeta's final moments in the original timeline included a breakdown, a Saiyan prince weeping in the dirt. Here it still happens, because Vegeta's pride cannot process being outclassed by someone who sees him as trivial. But this time there is no Goku to deliver that breakdown to. Vegeta dies on Namek, same as before, except the emotional weight of his last words lands in empty air. There is no warrior present who understands what it means to be the last Saiyan of a destroyed race. Gohan hears it. But Gohan is a child carrying too much already. He cannot hold that weight properly. Frieza turns his attention to the remaining fighters, and this is where the scenario reaches its real edge. In the original run, Goku's arrival bought time, created hope, and rewrote the power ceiling of the entire story. Without him, Frieza on Namek is simply the end of the road. Not dramatically. Not with a final speech. Just, the road ends here. Unless something else intervenes. And in Dragon Ball's world structure, something always intervenes. The Namekian Dragon Balls are still active before Porunga is permanently lost. If even one wish is made before Frieza destroys the planet, the variables shift again. The question is who makes the wish and what they ask for. Krillin's instinct would be revival. Gohan's instinct would be his father. If Goku is wished back, the entire scenario resets, but with Vegeta already dead. And a world where Goku returns but Vegeta is gone is a fundamentally different Dragon Ball. There is no rivalry, no tension engine, no prince to eventually break towards something resembling growth. Future Trunks still comes, but his world is already unrecognizable. The androids still appear because Dr. Gero's research was never dependent on Vegeta surviving Namek. But the fighters left to face them are thinner, rawer, carrying more psychological damage than the original timeline produced. Goku returned, but the network around him is fractured in ways that never fully heal. Gohan grew up watching his father die once, then fighting for years without him. That version of Gohan does not hesitate the way he did at the Cell Games. He has already learned the cost of mercy on a planetary scale, which means the Cell arc, if it even reaches the same shape, ends differently. Not necessarily better, not necessarily worse, but with a different kind of violence behind it. Here is what most fans miss when they imagine Vegeta killing Goku in their first fight. They think the scenario is about who becomes the new hero, or who steps into Goku's role. That framing is wrong. Goku was never just a power level. He was a specific kind of gravity. He pulled allies into orbits they never would have entered on their own. He made enemies into something more complicated than enemies. He gave Vegeta a reason to become more than the prince of a dead empire. Kill Goku in that first battle and you do not just remove the strongest fighter. You remove the one force in Dragon Ball that consistently made the world larger than it needed to be. Vegeta wins the battle, but he loses the only thing that was quietly making him worth something beyond conquest. The Saiyan Saga ends, and something much harder to name ends with it.